जय जिनेन्द्र सर।
जय जिनेन्द्र। अरहंत सिद्ध सूर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहत है हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So we continue our class on sequentially bound modification. Last week we had read the module number 18. Transformation is the nature of reality. Okay. So Soumya, I would make you a co-host. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Fine. So transformation is the nature of reality. Now, nature of reality is universal truth. Right? Vastu Vyavastha. Vastu Vyavastha is an universal truth. Nobody has created it. Nobody is managing it. It's all on auto mode. Everything running independently on its own. No one is dependent on any other thing. Okay. So every time when we face in our real life situations any adversities, we should connect to nature of things. Vastu Vyavastha. What Vastu Vyavastha says, right? Vastu Vyavastha says that each soul is supreme soul, Paramatma. Pratyek Atma, Paramatma hai. This is what Vastu Vyavastha says. So now you have to align your belief with the Vastu Vyavastha, nature of reality, nature of things, whatever you want to say. Okay. So today's topic is very, very important. Transformation. Every substance, while remaining permanent, it transforms every moment. That is the structure of each and every substance in this universe. Okay. Not only soul or matter, but medium of rest, medium of motion, space, time. All the substance are transforming every moment, every moment, every moment. Now, this is again a universal truth. You have to see things like that only. Okay. So transformation is the nature of reality. That is the heading of the module number 18, which we have already read last week. I am just now explaining you. Okay. So what it says that even if this point is examined from the perspective of the nature of reality, then too the same conclusion will be reached. What conclusion? That each substance is the doer of its own modification. Because just as permanence is the nature of each substance, so too is transformation. Okay. So there is a transformation going on in each and every substance in the universe by default. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody can alter anything. Each and every substance transforms into modification of its own, and that sequence of the modification is also predetermined and prefixed. You cannot alter it. So on one hand, you have nothing to do in the external world. On the other hand, in your modification also, there is no way that you can change the sequence of that modification. So you are a non-doer in the outside world also, and you are a non-doer in your own modification also. Now, if you are able to come to a conclusion like this, then what is the burden on your head? What burden you have, Himali? To bring up the children?
No, sir.
Why?
They will, so whatever is going to happen will happen, and they will go on their own.
Because they are a substance and their transformation is happening on its own. I unnecessarily believe or I unnecessarily think that I am bringing them up. But when they were in your womb, 9 months, who was taking care of them? Right? So they are being taken care of by themselves. There is no doership anywhere. Right? So understanding the things in this right perspective helps us to relax. There is nothing on our head. Of course, due to attachment, we do advise them, we do take care of them. All these are there from Charnan Yoga. But from Dravyan Yoga, if you see, everything is independent. One substance cannot do anything of the other substance. Whatever is happening in their life is because of their past merits and demerits. Right? So we may think to do good to them, but whether you will be able to do or not depends on their past merits and demerits karma. Okay. So, just as the permanence is the nature of each substance, so too is transformation. Now, when you want to know anything about any substance, when you want to have a clarity about a substance, you should look at the substance from 3 angles. First angle, you should look at substance, attributes, and modification. Second, utpad, vyay, dravya. Evolution, extinction, permanence. And the third is, what is the third, Emali? Amitaji? Do anyone remember? Soumya?
तो द्रव्य
Yes.
उत्पाद व्यय और द्रव्य
So that I
द्रव्य
told you.
क्षेत्र काल भाव.
Yes, Dravya
द्रव्य
Kshetra.
क्षेत्र काल भाव sir.
Yes, Dravya Kshetra Kalbhav. Okay. So these are the 3 ways to look at the substance. And when you look from these 3 angles, you have complete clarity about the substance. Okay. So now in this structure of say substance, attributes and modification, substance and attributes are eternal. Anadi Anant. Right? There is no changes happening at that level. It's permanence. Dhruv. Okay. And the modification is evolving every moment and getting destroyed every moment. Evolution and extinction is the nature of every modification. This modification is only of one moment. Okay. So out of this tree structure, which we can express in the way of substance attributes modification, or also we can express in the way of evolution, extinction, and permanence. Right. This is the core structure. Now, between these two, okay, the substance and attributes are eternal. Nothing needs to be done over there, right? Because they don't change only, they remain permanent, right? And the modifications changes every moment because it's of one moment, one samay. So another moment, another modification will come up and the previous one will get extinct. So this phenomena is going on all the time, irrespective of time cycles, because this is the nature of things. This is the nature of reality. Okay. Now, since there cannot be done anything in the substance and attributes, so we don't tend to do anything. But since the modification changes every moment, we have this belief that we can change the sequence of the modification. But understanding this principle of sequentially bound modification, we have come to the conclusion that no, there is nothing that needs to be done in the modification also. So now you are relaxed from both angles. From the substance attribute, they are permanent, nothing has to be done. From the view of modification, It's all prefixed, predetermined, nothing can be done. Okay, so now you are completely relaxed. There is nothing on your head to perform anything. You are by default an observer and remain an observer. That is the best effort you can do. You are an observer and be an observer. This is only the effort. There is no other effort, right? This is your inherent nature to know every moment, every moment, every moment. Okay, there is never a time when nothing reflects on a mirror. Something or other reflects in a mirror. Similarly, in our knowledge screen, every moment some knowables come to our screen, right? And when they come to our screen, your job is to know them, not do oneness with them, not do mindness with them, not become a doer of them, and not become an enjoyer of them. You are all aligned with this concept? Yeah? Amita ji? Yes.
Yes,
Emali?
sir. Yes, sir.
Rekha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Madhu ji?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jia?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now, since there are only three things: substance, attributes, and modification. In the first place, we saw that there is nothing to be done in the substance and attributes. And in the second phase, we saw that the modifications are also independent. Each modification is independent. It's happening on its own. It has got his inbuilt 6 cases: karta, karam, karan, sampradan, apadan, adhikaran, right? So for that reason, the modification is transforming independently. It does not require the support of substance and attributes, and it also does not require the support of the instrumental cause. Okay, so with this independent nature of each substance, attributes, and modification, this much if you are able to align in your knowledge, you are relaxed. There is no way of doing anything, right? So accepting this reality, okay, transformation is the nature of reality. As permanence is the nature of reality, transformation is also the nature of reality. And when we understand and when we make a decision on this, automatically there is nothing on our head to do anything. Okay, and when your active consciousness becomes free, it has got no job to do anywhere, anything. So it automatically turns inward and it focuses on the self. It gets immersed in the self, right? It becomes one with the self, and that is the stage of self-realization. Okay, so simple. This is quite possible right now. Yes, we can very well do it. Okay, everyone can do it. Everyone can do it. Just coming at a conclusion that there is nothing to be done in substance and attributes. At the same time, there is nothing to be done in the modification also. So we are quite relief of any doership of anything in this universe. So that comes to the conclusion that we are by default an observer. Whether we believe it or we don't believe it, nature of things doesn't change. Nature of reality doesn't change. We are only an observer, nothing else, right? So knowing is our inherent nature, and that is what, if we stick to that function, then our knowledge is right. If we become a doer, then we are under the influence of delusion. Okay, so very simple checking point. In the verse number 19 and in the verse number of 75 of Sem4, Acharya Kunkun raises question: how do you realize that you have experienced yourself? That was the question. You all must have in mind this question: how do I realize that whether I am a knower or a doer? So I thought some good answer will come in that verse, but Acharya Kunkun only said that one who becomes a doer is a ignorant soul, and one who doesn't become a doer, remains an observer, is a knowledgeable soul, enlightened soul. That is the definition given, right? So in your day-to-day life, you observe that from doership to non-doership, we are all moving in that direction, right? Every time things happen not according to our desire, our want, we always realize this truth that, oh, nothing is in our hand, right? Although we have tendency to do things because of our past impression, because of rise of karmas and many other factors coming up together, okay? But when we sit down and analyze, then we realize that, oh, nothing is in our hand. We wanted things to happen in this way, but it happened other way. Why? Because that was what it was destined. So with this kind of experiment every now and then, last week also I told you, when you read newspapers, you put yourself in that place and analyze things, how it would have gone if I would have been in that place. Okay. This will develop your strength to practice discriminative knowledge. Okay. So nature of reality is the ultimate thing. We have to connect to that nature of reality every now and then to get our understanding right. There is no other way. Okay. So nature of reality is universal truth. It never changes. It's across all times valid, 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 valid. Okay. And very perfect. So if we are able to align everything, what's happening in our day-to-day life with the nature of things, you will be able to come at the correct conclusion, right decision. Okay. So this is what we need to do purposely, intentionally, deliberately, consciously, thoughtfully. Okay. Buddhi purvak, this is what we need to do. So my question. What was my question coming to my mind? Yes. So we accept that substance and attributes are eternal. There is nothing to be done in that. And modification is also independent. That also we realize, and it is all predetermined. So it takes on its own course. So there is nothing to be done in the modification also. Then why so much of preachings is given that turn your active consciousness towards yourself, स्वभाव सन्मुख हो, है ना, आत्मा का लक्ष्य करो. Why this kind of preachings are given in Jinvani? Any good answer? Soumya?
Sir, because we have to do our Purusharth. We can't just wait for things to happen.
But as we concluded that there is nothing to be done in substance and attributes because these are eternal, and with understanding this principle of sequentially bound modification, we also come to this conclusion that there is nothing to be done in the modification also. We cannot change its sequence, right? So when we are relieved of doership from both these perspectives, what remains?
The soul remains, sir.
Yeah, the soul remains, that is true. But why there is so much of preachings that turn your active consciousness inward, look at yourself, आत्मा का लक्ष्य करो, स्वभाव सन्मुख करो, उपयोग को स्वभाव सन्मुख करो. All these statements are there in Jinvani everywhere. Why? Why so much of pressure?
May I try?
Yeah.
So, is it because from time immemorial, we've been looking at things from the knowledge perspective, and we keep thinking that we are the doer, no matter how much you try. So, hence, it is trying to say that draw a line between your Gyan Pradhan and Drishti Pradhan.
Good, very good try. Anyone else? Otherwise, I will conclude.
We are
So,
always in delusion.
you are?
Always in delusion.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है. So all of you have, whatever you have said, it's a good try, and there is some truth in all the answers that I have got. But what I want to say that this is said in Jinvani from the conventional point of view. पुरुषार्थ करो, ये करो, वो करो. This is all conventional statement. from the real point of view, acceptance of this truth, acceptance of the nature of reality itself is the highest level of effort, right? And when you do such things, then there is no doership on your head. So you are automatically relaxed. Your automatically active consciousness goes towards yourself. Okay. So although there will be preachings in Jinwani that you do this, you do that, but it means that you understand the independent nature of these three things: substance, attributes, and modification. And when you realize this truth that there is nothing to be done in these three things, then you are relaxed. Your active consciousness is free of any doership. And when it is free of doership, it automatically inclines towards the self. Okay. So this is how it will happen. Although the preachings will be like this, that do this, do this, do this, but you have to understand these are all conventional statements. From real point of view, you are just have to understand the scriptures, contemplate on it, analyze it, and arrive at a decision. That is what we can do purposely, intentionally, thoughtfully, consciously at our end. Okay, so this nature of reality is the ultimate truth. In Pravachan Sarji, there is a complete chapter on this, starting from verse number 93 to 126. The heading is Gne Tattva Pragyapan, and under the Gne Tattva Pragyapan, Dravya Samanya Adhikar. Okay, in that there is a detailed analysis of substance, attributes, and modification, and evolution, extinction, and permanence. These two things have been very nicely explained over there. Each evolution, extinction, and permanence is again interconnected. There cannot be any evolution without extinction. There cannot be any extinction without evolution and permanence. There cannot be any permanence without evolution, extinction. Okay. All these are very interconnected. Okay. We cannot separate all these things. All these things happen together. And the substance is identified by attributes, modification, evolution, extinction, and permanence. Okay. All these are characteristics of substance. You can identify substance by applying any of these characteristics and connect to yourself. Okay. If a substance were to require dependence on another for its transformation, then how could that transformation be called its nature? So when we say something is nature, then it automatically believes that nature is always complete. Nature cannot be destroyed anytime. स्वभाव का अभाव नहीं होता है. Nature is independent. स्वभाव स्वाधीन है. स्वभाव परिपूर्ण है. Nature is complete in itself. Okay. Then nature is ahetu. There is no cause of it. It's on its own, independent. Okay. Then yeah, this is all about the nature. So when you connect to the nature, all these specialities of the nature comes to your mind, and immediately it removes the doership. Okay. When there is nothing to be done in nature, it's all independent, then what you have to do? Okay. So in each substance, there exists a general attribute called dravyatva. You know, there were 6 general attributes. Vastutva, Astitva, Vastutva, Dravyatva, Aguru Lagutva, Prametva, and Pradeshvatva. 6 common attributes. 6 samanya gun. We read it in Bal Bodh chapter Dravya. You can again refer to that chapter. Not that chapter. Dravya Gun Paryay. Bal Bodh part 3, chapter 6. Okay. So at that time we touched this subject, but otherwise it doesn't come. And I feel this is one of the most important concept of Jainism. The independent nature of each substance, each attributes, and each modification. Okay. a fundamental potency. It is by virtue of these that the substance is capable of transformation. Transformability is the general nature of a substance. Where are you? We are on to module number 18. Yeah, right. Last paragraph. Okay. So this is what, 1 minute. Yes. So last paragraph. In each substance, there exists a general attribute called dravyatva, a fundamental potency. It is by virtue of these that the substance is capable of transformation. Transformability is the general nature of a substance, it is its inherent nature, sahaj dharma, intrinsic nature, swabhavik dharma, and a nature that is independent of others, paranirpeksh dharma. Okay. The next paragraph. When each substance is flowing by itself, okay, transforming of its own accord within its regular stream, naturally undergoing sequentially bound transformation, then what need is there for it to disturb its own sequence? What obstruction exists in the nature of reality that it would need to alter its course? And why should it alter its course? What necessity compels it to change its flow? Nothing, nothing, nothing. Just accept it. How can it even change? When every substance, every modification manifests only at its designated moment, not before, not later. As has already been clearly explained earlier, just as there are many units of time across the threefold time, past, present, and future, so too there are as many modifications of each substance, and each modification is fixed in its own unit of time. Okay, there is no way that you can change anywhere anything. If one modification is displaced from its designated moment, then that unit of time becomes vacant. And from where will another modification come to fill that moment? Because all are fixed. The desired modification that you wish to bring, if you were to displace it from its own place, its destined time, and bring it here, then would you take the modification belonging here and put it there? That is simply not possible. There are threefold time across all the time, okay, past, present, and future, and each modification, the modifications of each substance is also similar in similar numbers. Okay, so on each modification, on each modification of this space or universe, each modification of substance is aligned. Okay, so there is no way that you can change. It's simply not possible. After all, why not simply accept the inherent nature, vastu swarup, vastu vyavastha of reality? Okay, so we have to accept this inherent nature of reality, then only we will be relaxed. There will not be doership on our head. Why the insistence on forced alteration? Dharma is nothing but the spontaneous acceptance of the inherent nature of things. The acceptance of the natural transformation of a thing in accordance with its own nature is the beginning of dharma. So when you are able to accept this, there is the beginning of dharma, vitragta. There is no way that you have to manifest attachments or aversion, because everything is independent. There is nothing that demands from us that you manifest attachment, and there is nothing in this universe that demands from us that you have a feeling of aversion to that. Just understand the independent nature of each, and you will not manifest attachment and aversion, and that is by default detachment, passionlessness, vitragta, and that is the beginning of dharma. Such a person's belief naturally turns inward. Okay, so when you realize this truth, your such a person's belief, okay, drashti, naturally turns inward. For a jiva who easily accepts sequentially bound transformation, in its sequential binding, there is also an easy transformation towards its own intrinsic nature. Such a harmonious and orderly coordination is inherent in the nature of reality itself. Just as substance and attributes are existent, so too is modification. This is explicitly mentioned in Pravachan verse 107. So just now I said that from 93 to 126 is a chapter dedicated to this substance, attributes, and modification. And every now and then, everything is independent that has been proved over there. And when you understand this so nicely, automatically the doership goes away. Because each and every substance is transforming in that manner. So you don't have any responsibility on your head to transform, make changes in any other substance or your own sequence. There is no way that you can do. Okay. Last week, I gave you an example of sheep and the birds, right? So when they see that they are not able to see the shore from far distance also, then they come back and settle in the ship. Now they don't try to go to the shore because it's very far. They don't have the strength to fly to that level. So they automatically come and gets themselves stabilized in the ship itself. Now they don't try to go out. If substance and attribute are eternally existent, no beginning, no end, then modification exists in its own time. That is, it exists in a single moment. Just as the eternality of substance and attribute cannot be challenged, likewise the existence of modification in its own time cannot be challenged, cannot be altered. However, the belief of the ignorant, one minute. Yes. So, however, the belief of the ignorant who is unaware of substance and attributes remains fixed on modification. So this is the reality from time immemorial. The soul have always remained fixed on modification. The soul is always looking at the modification, and that modification keeps on changing every moment. Okay. So you cannot take shelter in something which is itself changing every moment. You can take shelter which is permanence. You can take shelter in a substance which is permanent, but this modification is changing every moment, right? So how you can take shelter in that modification? It remains entangled in the notion of altering modifications. Due to this entanglement, his belief does not turn towards his own substance, and he fails to attain substance as object of belief. Dravya drashti, object of belief. This is what we want to highlight, Every now and then you have to come to number 8. Param Shuddh Nischay Nay, supreme real point of view. And supreme real point of view is nothing but object of belief. Drashti ka vishay. Dravya drashti. That is right belief. Okay. In the scriptures it is said, Paryai mudda hi parsamaya. Those who look at only modification and don't look at the substance are false believer. Okay. Because they always look at the modification. They don't look at the substance. Okay. Which is simultaneously present over there. Okay. And जो पन्यायसु निर्दा जीवा पर समेगा tit niditha. This is again from Pravachan verse number 93 and 94. Declaring that one absorbed in modification as object of belief, paryai drashti, okay, is a false believer, where one established in substance as object of belief is a right believer. Okay. So you see where you are establishing your oneness in it, substance or a modification. If it is a modification, you are a false believer. If it is in a substance, you are a right believer. So these are the checking points that Acharyas has given us. There is nothing concrete that has been given. We have to check our own belief system and arrive at a conclusion whether we are a right believer or a false believer. Okay. And as you have been studying since 2 years, there are a lot of changes happening at your belief level. Okay, and your belief is gradually turning towards right. Okay, we are moving away from wrong belief gradually every now and then, and there will come a time when the karmic particles of delusion will go away. Go away means it will subside. Okay, and that point of time, right belief will evolve. But this is the process that we have to follow. Even if we get right belief also, the same process we have to apply. So it doesn't matter whether we have right belief or wrong belief, we will follow this process and get to liberation. Nobody can stop us. Okay, it's just work in progress that's going on, and ultimately it's going to yield results. Okay.
So I had a question.
Yes.
So in all of these paras, what are they referring to as substance?
Dravya. Dravya, gun, paryay. Three things are there.
Yeah.
So the substance is dravya. Modification is paryay. Attributes is gun. Dravya, gun, paryay. This is the structure of each and every substance. From time immemorial, we have been looking at modification only. Paryay drashti, paryay mood. So we are per samay, we are manifesting wrong belief, wrong knowledge, and wrong conduct. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you engage your active consciousness in the self, that is substance, and believe yourself to be pure substance, then you manifest right belief, right knowledge, right conduct. Then you are swasamay. Okay. So substance is dravya. In order to attain substance as object of belief, the realization of the sequentially bound nature of modification is essential. Okay, it will relax you from the doership, okay, that you have taken upon your head, although you are only an observer, but you only believe that I am a doer. So that's why you are suffering in four state of existence, experiencing sorrow every now and then. Okay, if you remove this doership, there is no sorrow. Sorrow is just because there is a doership in your mind. Okay. So in reality, there is nothing called sorrow in this universe. This sorrow is our self-creation by ignorance, by wrong belief, by false belief. Okay. And with our right effort, we can remove this false belief, wrong belief, and manifest right belief. And when we manifest right belief, that is the time we enjoy the eternal bliss. And that eternal bliss, the level is going to go up, and one time will come when there will be complete eternal bliss, complete removal of impurities, and then subsequently you will get liberated. So short journey for liberation. When it is firmly realized that each modification to exist in its own time, that no alteration in it is possible, then the belief becomes unconcerned with modification and naturally turn towards the intrinsic nature. Okay. So you have got enough of logics, to put it across all situations in your life and arrive at a conclusion. Okay. Without the realization of sequentially bound modification, it is not possible for one's belief to turn towards the intrinsic nature. For the burden of altering the modification according to one's own will continues to weigh upon it. A belief burdened with the weight of alteration lacks the capacity to behold the intrinsic nature. Very important line, just mark it. A belief burdened with the weight of alteration lacks the capacity to behold the intrinsic nature. Without the complete determination of belief, inward penetration is not possible. Okay. So one line, last one line coming up. जिनके माथे भार वे डूबे मझदार में, हम तो उतरे पार जोंक भार को भार में. Next page, Soumya. Yes. So jinke mathe bhar. So the one who carries the burden on their head, they sink in the middle of the journey. That is, either they are crossing the river or they are crossing the ocean. They sink in the middle of ocean. Hum to utre par, but I have crossed this river or ocean. Jok bhar ko bhar mein, by putting the burden on the burden. I am relaxed. I have nothing on my head. I have taken away all the burden of my head and put it back on the burden itself. So now I am free. So I am free to ascend. I am free to get that elevation. I am free to get liberated. Okay. So this is what we are going to start. The 19th module. The heading of the 19th module is wrong belief of ignorant soul. Okay. So this is what the picture was depicted from the perspective of nature of reality. The transformation is the nature of each substance. Okay. It never stops. So with that discussion, what would be the right belief, that has already been explained. And now wrong belief of ignorant soul is also being explained, so that we don't commit that mistake. And if we are already into that mistake, then we come out of it. Okay. Two purposes are there. So 19th module, wrong belief of ignorant soul. It starts from to ascend while carrying a burden. Okay. From there to the next page, doership upon it. Doership upon it. Okay. So 3 paragraphs from here, it will end. So who will read? Hemali, you read.
Wrong belief of the ignorant soul. To ascend while carrying a burden is not merely difficult, but impossible, especially a burden which one lacks the strength to lift. Can anyone climb a mountain while carrying a mountain? No, never. In the same way, a person whose intellect is engaged in altering other substances cannot enter its own intrinsic self. Although this world is self transforming, and not even the slightest responsibility for its transformation rests upon its head, the ignorant soul is being crushed under the weight of its own falsely imagined impositions. There is nothing to be done in relation to the external, nor is there anything to be done even with regard to one's own modification. Everything is occurring naturally and shall continue to do so. It has also been said, होता स्वयं जगत परिणाम, मैं जग का करता क्या काम? The world undergoes transformation by itself. What role do I play as its doer? On this, some people respond, even if not for the external world, at least we must perform our own tasks. If we do not do our own work, then who will do it for us? Eating and drinking, rising and sitting, all this must be done, and it must be done thoughtfully. Otherwise, everything will go awry and health will deteriorate. One responds to him saying, just reflect for a moment. When you were in your mother's womb, what exactly did you do thoughtfully or understandingly? Similarly, when you were merely a month or two old, what did you do with conscious intention? And yet, you still grew up to be this big. Now you've become very wise and discerning. You eat, drink, rise, and sit with full awareness. And yet, why is it that you are constantly weakening? You go ahead and properly maintain this body, lest it slips away right here and you're forced to abandon it and depart. Despite all your careful tending, the day will come when this body will lie here and you will have to leave it behind. And yet, the pride of being its doer does not leave you. You do have, you do not have even the slightest control over this body. Did your black hair turn white after asking your permission? The wrinkles now visible on your face, did they too appear with your consent? If not, then why do you not accept that? होता स्वयं जगत परिणाम, मैं जग का करता क्या काम? The world undergoes transformation on its own. What role do I play in its doing? Oh, brother, even the body is other than the self, yet you are imposing your doership upon it.
And this is the end of 19. Okay. So you see the logics given by ignorant, that there is something we must do. We should have our own responsibilities. But here Acharya says that no, everything is independent. There is nothing on your head that you have to do. Accept this fact and enjoy. Okay. So 2-3 examples given, that when you were in womb, how does this hair turn white from black, right? So many examples are also given in between. And since this has been written in an essay form, so every now and then logic has been given to prove that there is nothing that you can do. Okay. So now the last part, 20th, transformation of knowledge in is not according to desire. Okay. Transformation of knowledge in not, 1 minute, what is the heading? 20. What's it written in Hindi? ज्ञान का परिणमन भी इच्छा अधीन नहीं है. Transformation of knowledge is not according to our desire. Okay, that should be the heading. Transformation of knowledge is also not according to our desire. So that is the module number 20. You can give this heading. Okay, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 points are there. So first paragraph is point number 1. Must not one at least exercise discernment between what is worth knowing and what is not? Okay, so that is also not in your hand. Then second point is the second paragraph. If someone says such a thing, then third paragraph, each modification of knowledge. Then next paragraph, fourth point, this is unalterable truth. Then 3-4 paragraphs later on, the Buddhist asserts that knowledge arises. That is fifth point. And then the sixth point, from all these, it is established that the knowable object is the sixth point. And then the discussion ends. All of them will be considered separately later on. So this is where the 20th module ends. And now we will read this module, and we see that the knowledge, what will reflect on your knowledge screen is not something in our hand. It's coming onto our knowledge screen on its own, right? So we don't have choice what to know and what to know. Whatever it comes on our knowledge screen, we have to remain an observer. Whether it is very good and auspicious, we are still a knower. Whether it is very bad and inauspicious, we are still a knower. We don't become a doer. Okay. So this signs of discrimination you have to practice. And if you are able to just think on this line, it will automatically come to you that it's all independently reflecting on our knowledge screen, and we are an observer. So there is nothing on our head. There is no tension, no depression, because we don't have any choices. Okay. We are ready to accept what is come. Many a times it says, take things as they come, take things as they come, So this is what it means. Because nothing is in our hand. So whatever has to come will come. And we are only an observer. So there is nothing, no responsibility on our head to alter anything. All the sequences are fixed. All the pictures that are scenes that are going to come on our screen is fixed. It has been already shoot. Now we are watching the movie. You have two choices: either react every now and then and become miserable, or remain an observer and enjoy. You know, the person who operates that projector, he is relaxed because he has seen that movie 1000 times. And you have gone for the first time. So if there is a sad scene, you will start crying. If it's a happy scene, you will start laughing, right? So all these emotions, you are undergoing through it because you are attaching yourself to that scene, right? But that cameraman, the person who is operating that objector on the screen, is just relaxed because he knows that this scene will come after this scene will come this. There is nothing called sadness in reality. All are getting money for doing that role, So he knows all these things, but we get carried away by the emotions, and we bind new karmas. And this is how the worldly existence goes on. Now, if you want to break this cycle, you have to come out of this cycle, vicious cycle, okay, of doership, enjoyership, oneness, and mindness. Things will anyway reflect on your knowledge screen. It's not going to stop. It is not in your capacity to stop anything coming on your screen. We don't have any mechanism to just shut off the screen. No. Okay. Even when you are sleeping, you get dreams. And in dreams, you are observing objects, right? So you are a knower there also. So this is something not in our hand. So let embrace whatever comes in the screen. I'll be a knower. That's all. I will not manifest attachment. I will not manifest aversion. Just be as it is, only observer, detached, passionlessness. And when you act in such a manner, you are relaxed. Okay. So, 20 number module. Soumya, you read.
In response, some people say that knowing and seeing are the very nature of soul. Those must certainly be done. To them, our reply is, what is there to do in that? That too happens naturally. Must not, must not one at least exercise discernment between what is worth knowing and what is not? Surely it cannot be that we simply go on knowing and seeing. There has to be some restraint, some determination. Should we leave our knowledge and perception completely unrestrained, like a bull poking its face wherever it pleases? At the very least, it must be directed towards the essential nature. How can it work that there is nothing to be done, nothing at all is to be done? Let there be at least, let there at least retain this much: knowledge must be directed towards essential nature. If someone says such a thing, then he is told, brother, knowledge does not become oriented towards its essential nature through the deliberate resolve to direct it that way. Rather, it leans towards the essential nature only when it becomes free even from the burden of that very resolve. Each modification of knowledge, in performing its own function, is not dependent upon anything external. It is complete within itself, fully capable and entirely competent in performing its own function. The knowable object is determined within its very competence. The modification of knowledge which possesses the capacity to know a particular knowable object will indeed make that knowable object its own subject. In this, there can be no interference from any quarter whatsoever. This is an unalterable truth that knowledge does not arise according to the knowable object. Rather, the knowable object is known in accordance with the knowledge. Otherwise, how could it be that the knowable object which is present before one is not known, while that which is distant in space and time is known? A newly wed officer does not see the clerk sitting right in front of him in the office but instead sees his wife sitting at home or at her paternal home far removed from the office. A similar verse is found in Prameya Ratnamala. A lustful man imprisoned in a pitch dark dungeon says, though the prison doors are shut and the darkness is so dense that it cannot be pierced even with the tip of a needle, and though my eyes are closed, yet my beloved's face is clearly visible to me. From this, it is proven that knowledge does not arise according to the knowable object. Rather, the knowable object is known according to knowledge. This means that in knowledge arising from the destruction comes suppression of obstructive karma. The knowable which is eligible to be known at a given time becomes the subject of knowledge at that time, none other. This principle is clearly explained through the following aphorism of the scripture of logic. It is precisely the ability, yogyata, characterized by the destruction cum suppression of obstructive karma that determines which specific object will be the subject of knowledge. Here, the discussion pertains specifically to what knowledge arising from the destruction cum suppression of obstructive karma knows and what it does not know. In the case of omniscience, such a question does not even arise because it comprehends the inhabited, uninhabited universe all at once. It knows everything. The Buddhists assert that knowledge arises from the knowable object, takes on the form of knowable object, and is directed towards the knowable object. They present this view in terms of arising from the tadutpatti, having the form of that, tadakar, and cognition being directed toward that tadyavasaya. Jains do not accept this position. In this context, they ask the Jains, if according to you, knowledge does not arise from the knowable object, then why is it that knowledge knows only a particular knowable object and not another? After all, what is the governing principle that determines which knowable object of particular knowledge modification should grasp at a given time? Among the Buddhists, there is a clear system. The knowledge that arises from a given knowable object knows only that knowable object. This provides a coherent explanation. In response to this, the aforementioned Jain aphorism is presented, the essence of which is that it is ability that serves as the governing principle. That is, in each specific modification of knowledge, there is not only the inherent capacity to know, but also the certainty of which knowable object it will know. In defining ability, it has been said, ability is that whose characteristic is the destruction cum suppression of the covering, avaran. That is, in that ability, for the knowledge object that is to be known, there is destruction cum suppression of the covering related to the knowable object. From all this, it is established that the knowable object of each modification of knowledge is also fixed and it is included within its ability. When the knowable object of knowledge too is fixed, then where does this point of what to know and what not to know remain? That something or other must necessarily be done in this direction. You do not have to bear even this much burden upon your head. You do not have to bear even this much burden upon your head. Only then will you become unburdened, and only then will the knowable object of your knowledge modification become the self's intrinsic nature. That is, your belief will become oriented towards the intrinsic nature. This alone is the sole means for the belief to become oriented towards the essential nature. Here the question may arise, if this is so, then why is such instruction given? Turn your belief toward the self, know the self, and so on. Many such questions arise. All of them will be considered separately later on.
So this is the end. This is the end of 20 number module. Okay. Then we will start the 21. So in this particular module number 20, it is discussed that we don't have a choice what to know and what to know, because it's automatically coming on its own on your knowledge screen and you don't have a choice. Like in TV, you have 400 channels and you can just switch over from sports to entertainment to this to that to religion, whatever you want you can do, right? But here you don't have a choice. You have to see what they show you on your screen, right? So you don't have a choice. Now what will appear on that knowledge screen, that is very nicely explained here. This particular aphorism is taken from Pariksha Mukh by Acharya Manekyanandi. Okay. In Hindi it is called, it's written here in diacritics. Swavaran Shayopsham Lakshan Yogyataya Hi Pratiniyatam Vyavasthapayati. It is precisely the ability, yogyata, eligibility of the moment. Okay. It is precisely the ability. Ability means the eligibility of the moment. Tat samay ki yogyata. Characterized by the partial destruction cum suppression of obstructive karma, that is soyapsham. So it is the soyapsham which decides what will reflect in our knowledge screen. That determines which specific object will be the subject of knowledge. Okay. So I hope you have understood with this aphorism that what will come in what sequence and when, it's all predetermined and there cannot be any alteration could be done about that. It will anyway come on your knowledge screen. Now you have a choice either to apply this principle and stay relaxed and enjoy, and the other is react to it and get and suffer from misery. Okay. So you have choices. You can make your life, you can spoil your life. Okay. You can bind new karmas, you can dissociate old karmas. Everything is in your hand. The ball is in your court. How you want to win, how you want to live your life, Acharya says it's on you, right? If you align your thoughts, if you align your understanding according to the scriptures, you will always enjoy. And if you don't accept this truth and manifest on your own whims and fancies, then you will suffer. Very clear. Okay. So the Buddhist, what the Buddhist believe, that also you need to understand, because Buddhist philosophy is one of the very largely spread religion across the globe. Buddhist and Vedant, these are the two largest religion among the Hindus, among the Indian religions. Of course, then there are other uh, there, but as far as the Indian philosophy is concerned, these two are the largest. So what the Buddhist believe? So the Buddhist asserts that the knowledge arises from the knowable object. Knowable object is what? Gne. Knowledge is what? Gyan. ज्ञान ज्ञेय से उत्पन्न होता है. This is the first belief of the Buddhist. Okay. Knowledge arises from the knowable object. Okay. Number 2, takes on the form of the knowable object. ज्ञेयाकार होता है. Okay. ज्ञेयाकार होता है, takes on the form of the knowable object. And the third is directed towards the knowable object. ज्ञेय को जानने वाला होता है and is directed towards the knowable object. Knowable object is gne. Okay. So these are the three beliefs of the Buddhist, and all these three are false. Okay. Knowledge never arises from the knowable object. Okay. Knowledge is an attribute of the soul. So how can it come from the external object? Right? Very logical. So this is the first belief that the Buddhists have, and Jains does not accept it. Then the second one, ज्ञेयाकार होता है, takes on the form of the knowable object. No, knowledge never becomes gneyakar. Only the gney are reflected on the knowledge. So knowledge itself remains the knowledge. Only the gneya, only the external knowable objects reflects on its screen. Okay. तो ज्ञान ज्ञाकार होता है, नहीं होता है, ज्ञान ज्ञानाकार ही रहता है. एंड द थर्ड विल, ज्ञेयों को जानने वाला होता है, is directed towards the knowable object. Okay, so the Jain doesn't believe it. And what are the three words that they say for this? The first one is called tadutpati. Okay, that means knowledge arises from the knowable object, the first one. Then the second is tadakar, having the form of that. And the third is cognition being directed toward that. Tadadavyas. What it is that? Tadadya vasai. Okay. Jains do not accept this position. In this context, they ask the Jains, if according to you knowledge does not arise from the knowable object, then why is it that knowledge knows only a particular knowable object and not another? After all, what is governing principle that determines which knowable object a particular knowledge modification should grasp at a given time? So what is this governing principle? Can anybody throw light on this?
सर तत्समय की योग्यता.
Very good, absolutely perfect. Okay, so what should reflect on what moment? That all depends on the eligibility of the moment. Okay, so that's
Sir,
what.
does it also depend on Shayopsham?
No, Sayapsham, of course, Sayapsham, with Sayapsham only we are able to know that object, right? That
Yeah.
becomes only a part of our knowledge screen. So Sayapsham is always there. So for every modification, there is an amount of Sayapsham. Sayapsham means the Avran is not there. So that much is opened up. And whatever is opened up, that you are knowing it. Okay. So
Okay,
of course, the governing principle is from the karmic point of view, it is the Sayapsham of the karma. But from the soul side of you, it is the eligibility of the moment. And all the three times eligibility of each modification is prefixed. Okay. तीन काल की योग्यता खचित है. It cannot be altered. Now what you have to do? What you will do, Roshni, now after understanding this?
Well, the same point we've been taking the whole evening today. It's try not to control or don't be a doer. Just be
Yes.
an observer.
Yes, accept, you know, you have to
Accept,
accept.
yes.
Yeah, you have to accept. That's all. So whatever has to reflect on your knowledge screen will automatically reflect. We are not the doer of it. We are just an observer, and so remain an observer. You are relaxed, enjoying. Okay. So the Buddhist, what they gives the logic, if according to you knowledge does not arise from the knowable object, then why it is that knowledge knows only a particular knowable object and not another? After all, what is the governing principle that determines which knowable object a particular knowledge modification should grasp at a given time? So that is the eligibility of the moment. Okay. Among the Buddhists, there is a clear system. The knowledge that arises from a given knowable object knows only that knowable object. This provides a coherent explanation. In response to this, the aforementioned Jain aphorism is presented, the essence of which is that it is the ability that serves as the governing principle. Ability means the eligibility of the moment. Tat samay ki yogyata. This is the governing principle. And all the three tat samayni yogyata, past, present, and future, are all predestined. Right? There is no way that anyone can alter. So it will naturally flow in that manner only. And now again you have two choices. Either be miserable or be relaxed and happy. Okay. That is, in each specific modification of knowledge, there is not only the inherent capacity to know, but also the certainty of which knowable object it will know. Okay. So these are all so nicely structured that there is not a scope of altering 1 inch from here to there. It's all so nicely set up that you have to just accept and enjoy. That's all. Okay. In defining ability, it has been said ability is that whose characteristic is the partial destruction cum suppression of the covering, that is avran. That is, in that ability for the knowable object gne that is to be known, there is a partial destruction cum suppression, that is subsumption of the covering related to that knowable object. Okay. From all these, it is established that the knowable object of each modification of knowledge is also fixed, and it is included within its ability. When the knowable object of knowledge too is fixed, then where does this point of what to know and what not to know remain? That something or the other must necessarily be done in this direction. Okay. So you don't have a choice what to know or what not to know. Okay. The system itself throws on your knowledge screen object from time to time, and you are an observer. You have to just remain an observer. And if you remain an observer, it is the highest level of effort, because by default, by nature, you are a knower and you remain a knower, right? So your knowledge is right, your belief is right, and your conduct is also right. You do not have to bear even this much burden upon your head. Only then you will become unburdened, and only then will the knowledgeable object of your knowledge modification, Gyan Paryay, become the self's intrinsic nature. That is, your belief will become oriented towards the intrinsic nature. This alone is the sole means for the belief to become oriented toward the essential nature. Here the question may arise, if this is so, then why is such instruction given? Turn your vision towards the self, know the self, and so on. So we already discussed this answer, that this is all being said from the conventional point of view, but from the real point of view, there is no way that you have to do anything. Okay. You have to just understand, accept, decision, that's all. Many such questions arise, all of them will be considered separately later on. So this is the end of 20. Now the 21 module, each modification exits in its own time. Again, we are coming back to the nature of things, we have nothing much to give in terms of logic, then apart from the come to the structure, what is the nature of things. Okay. So each modification exits in its own time. You cannot change it, right? So there is a continuous flow of modification going on continuously from time immemorial, and in that continuous flow, a particular modification, it's what it was, very good word was there, swa designated moment. Okay. So the modification, the designated moment of each modification in that flow is prefixed. Okay. And that modification will appear in that particular designated moment. It cannot be altered. Okay. So if it cannot be altered, then where is the question of altering it? Okay. Another logic for this I can give you is that each modification is of one moment, one samay. Okay. And one samay of modification does not form the part of our present mati shrut gyan. It is only be known by the omniscient, Kevli Gamya. Okay. Kevli knows what will happen in one samay. What is happening in one samay, mati shrut gyan cannot comprehend it. It is not the capacity of Mati Shrut Gyan, Avdi Gyan, or Manaparya Gyan. All the four knowledge, they don't have the capacity, ability to comprehend one moment of time, ek samay. Okay, what we know that हमको क्रोध आया था, I have manifested anger, only we come to know by a cluster of modification. Okay, one particular modification does not become an object of our knowledge. It is beyond our knowledge. Okay, it's only known by the omniscient. So the past modification has already come and gone. No tension about it. The future has not only come. No changes can be done in that. And the present modification does not become a part of our knowledge, right? So we are relieved of doership of all the three times of modification. And when we are relieved of this doership, our active consciousness automatically bind towards ourself and we realize ourself. Okay. So this is the way how the self-realization will happen. Okay. In every module we are understanding this, and this is what is explained here also in this module number 21. It has also got points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. The first point is the first paragraph itself. Each substance is a mountain. Number 1. After one paragraph. Number 2. If substance is existent. Next paragraph 3. Why does the notion of alteration arise only with respect to modification? Then after 2 paragraphs, number 4. The false notion of altering modification is ignorance. Next paragraph number 5. The doctrine of non-doership. Next paragraph 6. The sole true outcome of faith is number 6, and that's the paragraph the module 21 ends. Okay. So we have 6 points in this, and with this we will see that each modification is prefixed in its sequence and it will come in its own designated moment. There cannot be alteration done by anyone. Even not Jinendra Bhagwan can alter it. Many examples will come in between also. We will understand from the examples also. Now 21 module, and Amitaji, you read.
Sir, can we have the heading for the 21st module?
Each modification exists in his own time, in his own pre-designated time. Each modification exists in his own pre-designated time. Yeah, start reading.
Each substance is a mountain, immovable. To attempt to make it move is nothing more than a child's effort. If the substance is a mountain, immovable, then the modification too is Parvati, immovable. Just as the immovable substance cannot be made to move, in the same way, the immovable modification cannot be moved from its own time. Even if the entire world were to make a united effort to alter even the modification of a single moment, that is, to displace it from its own time and bring another modification in its place, even then it would not succeed. It would not be able to dislodge that modification from its proper place. The inherent nature of substance is indeed infinitely powerful, but the nature of modification too possesses infinite
Capacity.
Thank you. Capacity to persevere its own, to preserve its own bounds. None can enter its domain. From the world which harbors the notion of tampering with it, defeat alone awaits in the end. If substance is existent across the three times, then modification too is steadfast in its rightful time. Histories and Puranas bear witness to the fact that those who attempted to violate the chastity, satitva, of a woman faithful in every way to her husband were never successful. Rather, they had to undergo the harshest punishment for that unpardonable offense. Let it be known, those offenders who attempt to interfere with a rightfully timed modification shall also have to bear the consequences. They shall wander in worldly existence, samsara, for infinite time. They shall not be able to escape the gravest sin, delusion of dishonoring the true nature of the modification. Why does the notion of alteration arise only with respect to modification and not with respect to substance and attribute? The reason for this lies in a simple psychological tendency. The idea of alteration arises only where the possibility of alteration appears to exist. Where no such possibility is perceived, no thought to act arises either. Just as when we wish to get an unlawful task done and its execution lies in the hands of various government officials, we do not even ask that official to do it whom we believe will not, under any circumstance, engage in such an act. But the one whom we perceive can be swayed by persuasion, inducement, punishment, or exploitation of secrets, we try every possible means to get the work done through him. In the same way, the immutability of substance and attribute generally occurs naturally to most people. Therefore, the notion of altering them does not arise. However, the immutability of modification does not naturally occur to the mind. This is the reason why the idea of altering modification persists. Without a true understanding and sequentially bound modifications, the immutability of modification does not register, and the tendency to alter them continues to persist. The false notion of altering modification is ignorance. It is the belief in doership. It is this doership based ignorance that is refuted with full force in the Karta Karm Adhikar and
Sarva Vishuddh
Arva
Gyan Adhikar. Sarva Vishuddh Gyan Adhikar.
Sarva Vishuddh Gnan Adhikar of the Samaysar. This is the essence of the doctrine of non-doership in Jain philosophy. The doctrine of non-doership in Jain philosophy is not merely limited to the denial of so-called God as the creator of the world. Its broader meaning is that no substance is the doer, destroyer, or sustainer of any substance, to the extent that no alteration can be made, even within its own sequence fixed modification. Although the substance is the doer of its own modification, it cannot do or make any alterations in them. The sole true outcome of faith is sequentially bound modification, or above perspective of non-doership, is the orientation of belief toward one's own essential nature. If, after adopting a conceptual faith in sequentially bound modification, the belief has still not turned toward one's own essential nature, then it should be understood that such faith remains merely conceptual and not genuine, because there is no definitive moment when
There
true
is one.
faith
There is one. There is one.
there is one definitive moment when true faith in sequentially bound modification leads the belief towards one's own essential nature, and in that very moment, right belief manifests within the modification.
Stop. So this is the end of 21. And this doctrine of non-doership we already discussed in module number 17. So you can just, for point number 5, you can refer module number 17 again. Okay. And apart from that, this, in a, so as mountain is immovable, okay, to make it move is nothing more than a child's effort, okay. If the substance is a mountain immovable, then the modification to is Parvati. So in Hindi, mountain is called Parvat, okay. So if Dravya is Parvat, then modification is Parvati. So it's in rhyme, Parvat, so it is Parvati. It is named as Parvati. Immovable, okay. Achala. Just as the immovable substance cannot be made to move, In the same way, the immovable modification cannot be moved from its own time. Although modification is for one moment, it moves, it changes every moment, but it cannot be moved from its own time. That is to be highlighted. Okay. So then there was this example that sati. Okay. So those who have tried to, like, like Ravan kidnapped Sita and tried to make her his own, but he was not successful and he went to the hell. Okay. Similarly, for Draupadi, they were also, the Pandavas were not successful. Okay. The Kauravas were not successful. So this is, so whoever tried to change this sequence of modification have all failed. That is what from this example we conclude. Then the third point refers to that we only think of altering where alteration is possible, and they gave them in the example of a department in government where you want to bribe certain officials. So who will look? You will look to bribe those officials you feel are ready to compromise. You will not go to a person who is very strict in his discipline. You already know that, right? So similarly here also, the substance and attributes are, everyone is ready, everyone has accepted that substance and attributes cannot be changed. Okay. So they don't try to it. But since the modification happens every moment, it changes every moment. So the person has this tendency to change that course of modification. Okay. But again, that is not changeable. So that is also not in our hand. The sequence is fixed and it will come on that in that sequence only. So the fourth point, the false notion of altering modification is ignorance, agnanta. It is the belief in doership, kartavad. Okay. So karta karma adhikar and sarva vishuddha adhikar goes on to prove this in Samaisar scriptures, that there is no way that one substance can do anything on the other substance. Okay. Then the fifth point, the doctrine of non-doership, that you can refer to module number 17, where 4 points are mentioned, that there is no God who is the changer of this world, creator of this world, manager of this world. Then there are 4 points. You can just refer to the 17th module. Number 6, the sole true outcome of faith in sequentially bound modification. This principle, doctrine, or above perspective of non-doership is the orientation of belief towards one's own essential nature. Okay. So the true outcome or the only outcome of faith, of belief in sequentially bound modification is that your active consciousness turns inward towards your essential nature, unchangeable nature. If after adopting a conceptual faith or belief in sequentially bound modification, the belief has still not turned towards one's own self essential nature, then it should be understood that such belief remains merely conceptual and not genuine. Because there is one definite moment when true belief in sequentially bound modification leads the belief towards one's own essential nature, and in that very moment, right belief manifests within the modification. So there is nothing new that has come in this module. It's all repetitions one way or the other. But since this is written in an essay format, there are repetitions every now and then. And repetition is good in spiritual structures, because repeating same thing again and again leads to the right belief. Okay. You are able to contemplate more. You are able to arrive at a decision. Now, the next module, that is 22. In 22, there are 2 parts, 22A and 22B. Now, what is the heading of 22? First 22, one heading, 2 points, A and B, and in between there is 23 module. So first you mark it down. So 22 modification, 22A starts with here, Some people also say that a determinist, now who is this determinist? Niyatvadi, okay? Like Marichi, Marichi propagated 363 religions against his grandfather Adinath Bhagwan, Adinath Tirthankar, the first Tirthankar, okay? And that 363 different religion, that is called Niyativad, determinist, okay? So the heading for the 22 module is sequentially bound modification, comma, one-sidedness, ekant, comma, niyativad, determinist, and fourth is purusharth, effort. Okay. So sequentially bound modification,
Sir,
comma,
can you? Yes.
one-sidedness, ekant, one-sidedness is ekant, comma, niyativad, niyativad is determinist, niyativadi, sorry. Niyativadi is determinist, so here it is Niyativad. So Niyativad means 1 minute. Determinism. Sorry. Determinism. Niyativad. Determinism. And Purusharth. Effort. This is the heading. So there will be, they will establish a relationship between all these four terminology. Okay. So 22A starts from here and 22A ends after 4-5 paragraphs. One who merely knows and sees. Okay. One who merely knows and sees. There ends 22A. Then starts 23. Declaring the confluence of 5 factors. So what is the heading of number 23? The heading of number 23 module is 5 concomitant factors. 5 concomitant factors.
Where is it? Where is it exactly?
Declaring the confluence of 5 factors.
Not able to get it.
Okay.
Sir, declaring the confluence of 5 concomitant factors. What is it actually? 23rd.
23rd, and the heading is 5 concomitant factors. Okay. And 23 ends after 5 paragraphs. Activity possible. Establishment of activity possible. There is the end of 23. Okay.
Next
And
page, sir.
I don't know what's yours in this. You just check it out. Activity possible. Yeah, here. Soumya is pointing out.
Oh,
So this is the end of 23 module. Okay. And then comes the 22B. In this context, also see Swamiji's clarification. So 22A was there earlier. This is 22B. And this 22B ends in the next page. Non-absolutism. But truly an adherent of non-absolutism. Got it?
yes.
Next page. So 22B ends here, and then we will move on to 24. Okay. So first we will see the 22A. Come back to 22A. Some people say that, Roshni.
Some people also say that a determinist has been called a false believer in Gomatsar. This notion is sequentially bound modification appears somewhat similar. Therefore, the fault of absolutism applies here as well. But there is a great difference between the determinism of Gomatsar and sequentially bound modification. The one-sided determinist disregards concomitant factors such as effort, etc., clings only to determinism, thereby nourishing uncontrolled behavior. whereas the doctrine of sequentially bound modification proceeds in conjunction with other concomitant factors like effort. In this context, the remark of the compiler of the Jinendra Siddhant Kosh is worth noting. The activity of modification, which is to occur through a particular instrumental cause in a particular substance at a specific place and time in a specific manner, occurs exactly in that manner by that instrumental cause in that substance, place, and time. This fixed arrangement of activity arising from the fourfold configuration in the form of substance, space, time, and mode of being is called fixed or deterministic order. In relation to the fixed karmic fruition as instrumental cause, this is called fate, deva. In relation to the fixed time, it is called time of attainment. And in relation to the destined disposition that is to occur, it is called inevitability. For the manifestation of the sequentially numbered modifications in their respective times, Sri Kanji Swamiji has used the term sequentially bound modification. Although to a passion-ridden intellect filled with intentions of doing and achieving, everything appears indeterminate, yet in the witness-only state of optionless equanimity, equanimity, the entire world's activity order appears determined as stated above. Therefore, the above arrangement is correct when accompanied by the 5 concomitant factors: nature of the substance, instrumental cause, effort, time of attainment,
and inevitability.
Time of attainment and inevitability, and that which is independent of these is false. The indolent person, taking refuge in false notion of fixed order, despises effort, but the one endowed with absolutist intellect, anekant buddhi, upon understanding this principle, becomes detached from all external activity and abides in the state of the one who merely knows and sees. Declaring the confluence of 5 concomitant factors.
So now this is 23. Okay, 22A is over. So let's first understand what 22A has to say. So in Gomatsar, there are 363 words for explaining this determinism, the determinism that Marichi in the time of Adinath Bhagwan propagated. Okay, so there are 363 words and each verse explain that determinism, which is again a false believers. Okay, it is not the true belief. Okay, it's a false believer, and that's why Marichi had to go to so many lives and he became the 24th Tirthankar. Okay. So the logic was given that this notion of this doctrine of sequentially bound modification appears somewhat similar. So this is also false. Okay. Here also there is one-sidedness. Then they explain that there is a great difference between the determination of Gomatsar and sequentially bound modification. The one-sided determinist disregards other factors, okay, such as efforts and etc. So there are 5 factors, okay. Only destiny is not one of the factors, it is one of the factors. There are other factors like efforts, instrumental cause, then nature, and then the right time, okay. All are there. It is not only the destiny that governs any action to take place, okay. And taking refuge in absolute determinism, okay, dismisses the role of volitional effort, whereas the doctrine of sequentially bound modification proceeds in conjunction with other concomitant factors like efforts, etc. Okay. So this you must understand that for any action to take place, there will always be 5 factors giving equal contribution. You cannot say that this has become just because of one factor. No. Although we have limitation of explaining in speech, so at a time we can explain one of the factors. But in our knowledge, we should understand that all the 5 factors are present and all the 5 factors are equally contributing. Okay. You cannot give any importance to any particular factor. All are equal contributor. Okay. So understanding it in this manner creates a balance in our knowledge, and we are able to comprehend things as they are. Okay. So this was the first paragraph. In this context, the remark of the compiler of Jain and Siddhanta Kosh is worth noting. What they say, that activity or modification which is to occur, okay, through a particular instrumental cause in a particular dravya at a specific place and time in a specific manner, occur exactly in that manner by that instrumental cause in that dravya, kshetra and kal, okay, in that substance, place and time. This fixed arrangement of activity arising from the fourfold configuration in the form of dravya, substance or entity depending on context. Okay. So fourfold configuration is what? Dravya, kshetra, kal, bhav. Okay. Is called predestiny, niyati. Okay. So this niyativad and niyati is predestiny. In relation to the fixed instrumental cause of the fruition of karma, this is called faith. So that this predestiny, niyati, is referred in 3 ways. In the case of instrumental cause, it is called daiva. Okay. In relation to the fixed time, it is called time of attainment, kal labdhi. And in relation to the destined disposition that is to occur, it is called destiny or inevitability, bhavitavya. Okay, so this niyati has been explained in 3 different ways. It could be in the manner of instrumental cause, that is daiva. It could be in relation to fixed time called kallabdhi. It could be in relation to fixed destined disposition, inevitability or destiny. For the manifestation of sequentially bound modification in their respective times, Sri Kanji Swami has used the term sequentially bound modification. So it was sequentially numbered modification. In the original textbook Samaisar, in the verse number 308 to 311, this word was used, sequentially numbered modification. And Swamiji used the term sequentially bound modification. It means the same. It's just a synonym, okay? There is no controversy about that. Although to a passion-ridden intellect filled with intentions of doing and achieving, everything appears indeterminate. Yet in the witness-only state of optionless equanimity, the entire world's activity order appears determined as stated above. Okay? So if we are influenced by delusion, uh, uh, then everything appears indeterminate. But if the delusion is not there, okay, the entire world, all the substances of this universe are transforming independently and in perfect order. There is no disorder anywhere. Okay. Whatever disorder appears just because of our ignorance. But when we have the correct knowledge, true knowledge, everything appears in perfect order. Therefore, the above arrangement is correct when accompanied by the 5 factors, 5 concomitant factors, 5 samvai. Okay. What are these 5 factors? The nature of the substance, dravya. Instrumental cause, So nature, instrumental cause, effort, time of attainment, and inevitability. Inevitability is destiny. Okay. And that which is independent of these is false. Okay. So when it is accompanied by 5 factors, it is all correct. And if you think that it is independent of this, then it is false. All the 5 factors must be present for any action to take place. It never happens that 4 factors were there and 1 factor was not there and the action took place. No, it never happens. All the 5 must be present when the action takes place. Okay. And this is the universal truth. The indolent person taking refuge in false predestiny, okay, despises effort, okay, but the one endowed with non-absolute intellect, okay, non-absolute intellect means anekant buddhi, he is able to comprehend things as they are. Upon understanding this principle becomes detached from all external activity and abides in the state of the one who merely knows and sees. So this is the end of 22a. Now we will move on to 22b, okay, and then come back to 23. So in this context, from there it is 22b, and Madhuji, you read.
Yes, sir. 22b. In this context, also see Swamiji's clarification. The, the doctrine of determinism spoken of in Gomatsar pertains to the unrestrained. The jiva who does not accept the omniscient does not arrive at the ascertainment of the knowing nature, has not turned inwardly and resolved, has not even reduced the bouncing of contrary dispositions, and says merely whatever is destined to happen will happen. Such a jiva is indulging in unrestrainedness and nurturing false beliefs. Such a jiva is called one who has acquired wrong belief in Gomatsar. However, if one understands this sequentially bound modification with determination of the nature of knowledge, then, by means of effort directed towards the knowing nature, delusion and unrestrainedness fall away.
Unrestrainedness.
Unrestrainedness fall away. See further. The ignorant say that if this sequentially bound modification is accepted, then effort disappears. But it is not so. By ascertaining this sequentially bound modification, the false pride of doership disappears, and there arises the true effort of continuously abiding in the knowing mode. If one does not engage in the effort of the knowing nature, then even one's ascertainment of the sequentially bound modification is not genuine. By means of the effort rooted in the knowing nature, upon ascertaining sequentially bound modification, when the modification becomes self oriented, then in that single moment, all 5 concomitant factors become present in that modification. That is effort, nature, time, deterministic order, negation of karma. These 5 concomitant factors come together in a single moment's modification. Though the support of the knowing nature, effort does occur, yet the sequence of modification remains unbroken. See, this is the reality. Neither does effort vanish nor is the sequence broken. With the support of the knowing nature, the effort of right belief, knowledge, conduct, etc., takes place, and such pure states continue to manifest. Yet, the sequentially bound order of the modification remains unbroken. From the above statements, it is clear that the determinist false believer mentioned in Gomatsar in the context of absolutist bears no similarity whatsoever to sequentially bound modification. The kind of indulgence in self willed license that is found in determinism is absolutely not supported in sequentially bound modification. From Swamiji's clarification, it also becomes completely evident that he is not a supporter of absolutist determinism, but truly an adherent of non absolutism.
End of 22b. Okay.
22b.
So the sequentially bound modification appears to be one-sided to many people, particularly the ignorant people. Okay. Why ignorant people? Because they feel that if we accept this principle of sequentially bound modification, then the effort effort becomes zero. But in reality, it is not so. For any action to take place, their effort is inbuilt. Okay, it cannot happen without any effort is present there in every action that takes place. Okay, so accepting all the 5 factors together responsible for the action that has taken place is the correct understanding. And when you have a correct understanding, then there is no one-sidedness. Okay, so it appears to be one-sidedness to the ignorant one, but the knowledgeable one who knows that there is no one-sidedness. See the balance of words. Here it is. Through the support of the knowing. Page number, where it is, through the
Page 27, sir, second last para.
uh, uh, uh,
Yeah.
okay. Through the support of the knowing nature, effort does occur, yet the sequence of modification remains unbroken. Okay, so this is the balance. At the next line also, see, this is the reality. Neither does effort vanish, nor is the sequence broken. Okay, so accepting this principle of sequentially bound modification, effort does not vanish. Okay, neither does effort vanish, nor the sequence broken. With the support of the knowing nature, the effort of right belief, knowledge, conduct, etc. takes place, and such pure states continues to manifest, yet the sequentially bound order of the modification remains unbroken. So all this creates a balance when you understand in this manner that for any action to take place, 5 concomitant factors will be present always, always, always. Although there is a limitation of expressing things, so we will express from one particular factor, but you have to understand the other 4 factors are also there along with it. And when you understand in this way, there is no one-sidedness. Okay, there is a balance in itself, and you are able to understand the other factors present also there, and it creates a balance in you, and it creates a balance means you are able to manifest detachment. You are able to manifest passionlessness. You are not reacting. You are not manifesting attachments or aversion. And this is called equanimity. Okay. So you are moving, gradually moving, all the principles takes us to that balance. The balance where you are just simply observing, not reacting. Okay. So this 22b was very good. 22a and 22b was very good. Now we move on to the actual 23 module where 5 concomitant factors have been explained, although Dr. Bharilji has explained in very short manner. Okay, only few paragraphs are there, but I will be sharing two uh, two references from the guidebook of Krambat Paryay, that is Krambat Paryay Nirdeshika, which is in Hindi, which is not in English. But nevertheless, I will share the Hindi clips, and if somebody is able to convert it through ChatGPT into English, you can convert it and send me for correction. I will correct it, and then we can share it in the class. But these 5 commitment factors are very important. For any action to take place, all the 5 factors are present in equal contribution. There is nothing called a major factor and a minor factor. All are equally contributing. Only thing is that that you have to understand it in the right manner. Okay. So these two are, one is page number 63 and one is page number 120. Okay. So page 63 here also some references you can read from here. I'm sharing these pages, and page number 120 where exactly the 5 concomitant factors have been explained, one each in paragraph, page 120. So this, yeah, see, Swabhav, nature, Purusharth, effort. Third is Kallabdhi, right time, Bhavitavya, destiny or inevitability. And the last one is, I think, Nimit, instrumental cause. Okay. So all these 5 I'm sending, both the pages, both the references. You can convert it into English if anybody is willing to. Otherwise, you can read from Hindi also and you can understand, because it has been explained time and again in the class. Okay. So we will just read out. There is only 4 minutes left. So we will read out the 23 module. Explanation will continue next time. In meantime, the references reading that I am also sharing, that also you can refer. So next time when we are there, we will be discussing something very subtle in the 5 concomitant factors, how it helps us to connect to ourselves, how it helps us to enjoy our life, relax, relax ourselves, no tension, no depression, no stress. So this is basically a stress buster. Understanding this principle of 5 concomitant factors is a stress buster. Okay, so it has got wide practical application. It corresponds with the one principle that we understood about the Nimit Upadan. Okay, the principle of Nimit Upadan aligns with 5 concomitant factors, only the terminology changes little bit. That also through chart we have already seen this. The chart of Nimit Upadan we are going to refer again in the next class. Okay, but now we will read the module number 23, so we don't have to read it again in the next class. Okay, and who is going to read? Pratibhaji, you read 23. Declaring the confluence of 5 concomitant factors. Are you there, Pratibha? Yeah.
Declaring the confluence of 5 concomitant factors in the origination of activity as correct, Acharya Siddhasena writes in
Sammati Sutra.
Sammati Sutra. Time, nature, predestiny, previously done, instrumental cause, and effort to consider the origination of activity as arising from any one of these alone is absolutism, is delusion, and to consider it as arising from the conjunction of this is non-absolutism, is right belief. The discussion of 5 concomitant factors is presented in the Padma Purana as follows. Such a strange turn of events, who else could bring it about but time, karma, God, fate, nature, individual activity, or determinist order? In this verse, the citizens are expressing their sentiments regarding Rama being exiled and Bharat being given the kingdom. Clarifying this, the author of Jainendra Siddhanta Kosa writes, if time is subsumed under deterministic order, karma and God under instrumental cause, and fate and activity under inevitable, 5 things remain: intrinsic nature, instrumental cause, deterministic order, effort, and inevitability. The intent is that only through the integration of these 5 concomitant factors is the establishment of activity possible.
So this is the end of module number 23. Okay. Deterministic order. Okay. So what I want to say that let's use one kind of terminology everywhere. So nature is okay, intrinsic nature is okay, instrumental cause is okay. The deterministic order, that we should refer as destiny. Simple destiny. Predestiny or destiny is okay. Then effort is same, and inevitability. Sorry, okay. So this inevitability is destiny. So so where is time? So time is missing. Okay. Predeterministic order. So that is time, I think. Okay. So predeterministic order is time, I think. So let me check on this, clarify you. I will clarify you in the next class. So there's 5 concomitant factors. We will be using common terminology across, and I will just do some research on this and I will come with 5 names. Although we have studied during Nimit Upadan, we have named it like this: the nature, instrumental cause, predestined time, effort, and destiny. So these 5 words we have been using, and we are going to use this word time and again. So we will discuss this further in the next class. Today we are closing here. I will be sharing 2 clips from Krambat Paryay Nirdeshika in Hindi. And if it is, I will also see if I have time, I can convert it to through ChatGPT to English, so it will be easy for you. Okay.
So I can do it. I'm free.
Okay, so I'll give you that responsibility, and you do it and send me for correction. I will correct. Okay.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Himali.
sir.
Okay, so we will continue next class. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है. 9 times नमोकार मंत्र.